Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we are talking about the teenage girl who was recently killed in gunfire by sheriff or by her father. We're still not sure. It is a crazy turn of events and a very sad turn of events. And again, we're still looking for answers. But here is what we do know. On September 26, 2022, San Bernardino, Riverside, Kern, and Los Angeles counties issued an Amber Alert for Savannah Graziano, who was seen with her father, who had just killed her mother. So he was wanted on suspicion of killing his wife in a domestic violence shooting and then allegedly abducting their 15-year-old daughter. The shooting was reported around 7:35 a.m. near the intersection of Mallory Street and Cypress Avenue. The scene is near Cypress Elementary School, which was temporarily locked down during the investigation. Truman Middle School, which is also not far from where this occurred, was also locked down. The woman, she was found with multiple gunshot wounds and was taken to a hospital where she later died. Tracy Martinez, only 45 years old, lost her life to gun violence because of her ex-husband. Rest in peace, Tracy Martinez. Tracy is seen here with her daughter, Savannah Graziano. During this shooting, another victim was shot at but was not hit. And so the Amber Alert would stay effective until September 27th, when her life would be taken. And what we're still not 100% sure of, was it the police that killed her? Was it her father who killed her, returning gunfire? Let's go ahead and dive deeper into this story. Police began looking for the 45-year-old Anthony John Graziano in connection with the shooting. He was considered armed and dangerous, and he was believed to be with his 15-year-old daughter, Savannah Graziano. He was driving a white 2017 Nissan Frontier with California license plate 44305G2. They knew that the vehicle had an overlanding rack over the bed of the truck, as well as a distinct Pro 4X animal sticker on the rear quarter panel. The California license plate on the suspect's truck was expired, but he had an active one out of Arizona. During this search, he was described as being 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighing about 150 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. His daughter, Savannah Graziano, 5 feet 2 inches tall, weighing about 110 pounds, and also has brown hair and eyes. At the time, there were very few details about what led up to the shooting, but witnesses described the chaos that unfolded as parents were dropping off their children at school. A neighbor said that she saw the suspect running away and continuing to fire shots. Dorothy Carrion, she said he was shooting while he was going. People were running all over with their kids in every which direction. One parent was dropping off his son at school when he heard 10 shots. He said the victim was in a van that eventually crashed. The parent, he said, "I realized something was not right." He added that the woman eventually got out of the van and ran before falling on the ground, but what stuck with him the most was the fear in her face. Tracy Martinez, she did tell police with one of her last breaths that Anthony Graziano, her estranged husband, had shot her during a domestic dispute, according to Sergeant Christian Sargent. Graziano then picked up his daughter and drove to the high desert. On Tuesday, September 27th, they were spotted in Barstow, and the person that spotted them called 911 as they parked at this gas station. Savannah, the 15-year-old daughter, is seen coming out of the vehicle, and since there was an Amber Alert out on her, the man that works at the tire shop noticed them, and he thought That's the girl that has been on the TV for the Amber Alert, who was abducted by her father, and the father being considered armed and dangerous. And she is seen buying 2 drinks as well. And the man, he says that she looked very nervous. She looked out of sorts, like she was not comfortable. And so he calls 911. Deputies catch up with the Nissan and they give chase south on the 15 freeway, exchanging gunfire along the way until they reached the Main Street exit in Hesperia. There, the Nissan stopped and the gunfire resumed. The Nissan is said to have probably broken down at that minute from all the gunfire. Savannah Graziano, who Sheriff Dicus said was unrecognizable to deputies because she was wearing chest armor and a tactical helmet, ran from the car toward them. That's when she was shot. Her father was pronounced dead at the scene. She would later die at the hospital. A lot of questions continue to remain on this investigation. Hear what the sheriff has to say, and we're going to dive a little deeper into his comments.
I would like to take this time to provide an update on yesterday's deputy-involved shooting in Hesperia. Our specialized detectives processed the scene throughout the night and provided me a briefing this morning. Based on the information, evidence suggests that Savannah Graziano was a participant in shooting at our deputies. However, based on the totality of events and the requirements of Assembly Bill 1506, I have consulted with the California Department of Justice about assuming the primary role for this investigation. If in fact the requirements for AB 1506 are met, and they take the lead, any additional updates will be released by Cal DOJ.
As you can hear, some of what he was suggesting, which raises a lot of questions for this. You know, my question, as she's exiting the car, was she threatening deputies or simply attempting to flee to safety? And whose bullets struck her? I feel like when the sheriff was giving that was definitely scripted. Someone else wrote that script. I do believe that, because he does not come across as natural at all. He just comes across as reading his statement. And it sounds very particular about how he is phrasing some of this stuff. Now, previously, police had said that there was only 1 gun found at the scene. And so if the father was shooting at them, which they said he was, then she couldn't have had a gun. Now, in this video, he says that the case has been referred to California DOJ AB 1506. Now, AB 1506, it requires the referral when an officer shoots an unarmed civilian. And he says if they find more there, they will continue the investigation. Why would it even need to go there if she had a gun and she was shooting? So I have doubts in that story right away. He concludes by saying Savannah was a participant in shooting at our deputies. Notice he doesn't say that she shot at them. Participant could be, well, a lot was going on. She was running towards us. That was her participation in this whole event. So right now, I think they're trying to find a way to not say they killed her. Right now, we're not 100% sure exactly what has been done. Little by little is coming out about this story. Before he shot his wife, him and the daughter had been living out of his pickup truck and hotels for weeks before this whole violent rampage erupted. And you know, the Fontana police, they hadn't received any reports of domestic violence at the home before this whole thing happened this week. And child services had not been involved with the family. So as far as anyone knew, there were no problems before this week. Neither parent was on probation or parole at the time. And investigators believe that Savannah was being homeschooled while she lived with her father, who police said liked to camp out in the desert and mountains in his pickup truck. And so witnesses, they said that they saw Tracy Martinez walking in Fontana when Graziano picked her up in his truck. Sergeant Surgeon, he said it was not clear whether Tracy was forced into the vehicle or if she got in on her own. But he said, and immediately that's when they started arguing and yelling and domestic violence was occurring. Martinez gets out of the truck and Graziano opened fire with a handgun, striking her multiple times. And after that, Graziano flees the scene and he drives to go pick up Savannah, who likely was staying wherever they had been staying that day. The son was at the family's home at the time and was not involved with any of this. The next day, a 911 caller reported seeing the suspect's Nissan Frontier around Barstow, which is nearly 70 miles north of Fontana. And that's when law enforcement, they located the pickup truck and chased it on the highway to Hesperia. And throughout the pursuit, Graziano was constantly shooting back at the deputies through the truck's rear window. And this is all according to the police that were surrounding this whole case. During this gunfire, the truck went off-road and somehow became disabled with dozens of bullets flying. Savannah gets out of the passenger side of the vehicle, runs towards deputies who did not realize it was her in the chaos and went down amid the gunfire. She was taken to a hospital where she was pronounced dead shortly before noon. And from here, we'll find out what happens more. Right out of the gate, I'm going to say that why go on this long chase? Bullets flying. There's a video where one of the bystanders in his vehicle, probably less than 100 yards, probably 50 yards, you can hear the gunfire. It was that close to pedestrians and it was that close to other people. Helicopters all over. It was a scary scene. Why would the police go so hard and even risk her life? Risk that little girl's life. And I don't know. Maybe the dad thought he was protecting her when he puts her in armored gear and a helmet and says, go run. If they hit you, it won't kill you. I don't want them to kill you. They're coming out. I don't know. Right now, we can only wonder because the cops are not answering. The sheriff's department, they're no longer answering anything in reference to this. The sheriff gave his last little statement and that's it. My guess is we're going to find out who killed them. And I'm sure the sheriff's department is hoping it was the dad's gunfire that killed her. But no, if you did not realize it was her coming at you, you just were shooting. And this is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking. Right now, at this time, granted, we can only speculate. But I don't think that little girl was shooting at the cops at all. I don't think that. If we find out different, I will correct myself. But I don't believe that she was shooting at the cops. I don't think she was a willing participant in all of this. I don't think she knew at the time when he picked her up after killing her mother that she knew. Now again, I'm just being a true crimer sleuth, if you want to call it that. I'm just speculating right now. But what we do know is there's unanswered questions here, and I truly hope we get answers because this young girl, 15 years old, now granted, this incident was going to affect her for the rest of her life, but give her an opportunity to get over it by herself. Don't force her to deal with it and move on the way these cops allegedly may have done. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. This is Deep True Crime, where we try to go deep in this true crime stuff to give you the information to help you be a little more aware of what could go wrong in this crazy world. Who would have thought man gets into a domestic violence, starts shooting to make sure she's dead and then risking hitting other people around her. Who would have thought that? This is why don't run to get that video coverage. Run to cover your butt first before anything. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez, and this has been another heartbreaking story of a young girl taken from this world way too soon. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to serving you again. Peace. Be safe out there, my friends.